I didn't realize how quickly a stranger could slip into your life, or how quietly a nightmare could wear a friendly smile. When I first moved into Redwood Lane, I thought I'd finally found the peace I'd been craving. After the breakup, after the sleepless nights, after the apartment where the walls felt too thin to hold all my hurt, I just wanted quiet, a place where I could breathe again. That's when I met Mark, my neighbor. He appeared the day the movers dropped off my things. I was struggling to lift a box marked kitchen when I heard a warm voice behind me. "Careful," he said. "That one looks heavier than you." I laughed awkwardly, brushing hair off my forehead. Everything feels heavier than me today. "Let me help," he offered, already taking the box from my arms before I agreed. I should have paid attention to that, how easily he stepped in, how quickly he filled the space. But I was exhausted, lonely, and honestly grateful. People don't usually offer kindness without wanting something, but Mark seemed different. He told me about the neighborhood, about the quiet evenings, about how he worked from home and was always around if I needed anything. He even brought me a welcome basket later that evening, tea, cookies, a handwritten note that said, "You're safe here." Safe. Funny how that word can turn sour later. The first odd thing happened 3 days after I settled in. I woke up to a bang outside. My trash bin had fallen over. No big deal, I thought, probably the wind. But when I stepped outside to pick it up, Mark was already there, standing near the bin with a worried expression. "Did you hear someone?" he asked. "No, I thought it was just the wind." He shook his head. "No wind last night. I'll keep an eye out." I smiled, thanked him, and pushed the small, uneasy feeling away. The second incident came a week later. My porch light flickered violently while I was making dinner. I jumped, dropping a plate, the crash echoing through the quiet house. Before I could even sweep up the pieces, there was a knock on my door. Mark again. "I saw the light flickering," he said. "Thought I'd check on you." I stared at him. "You saw it? From your house?" "Yeah," he said too quickly. "I mean, your porch faces mine. Hard not to notice." Maybe that was true, maybe it wasn't, but something in his eyes lingered a second too long, like he was studying me. Still, he fixed the light, refused payment, told me to call any time. And then came the night I found my back door open. That's when the fear truly began. I had locked it. I was certain I locked it. Yet there it was, open just an inch, swaying slightly as if someone had just slipped out. My heart hammered so loudly I could barely breathe. I backed away from the door and grabbed my phone. I hadn't even typed half the police number when... A knock. Slow, heavy, too perfectly timed. I froze. "Emma?" Mark's voice drifted through the door. "Are you okay? Your kitchen light keeps turning on and off. Thought I should check." He always knew. He always showed up. And I was starting to wonder if that was the problem. I didn't open the front door right away. Something about Mark standing out there, again, perfectly timed, made my stomach twist. My back door was open, the kitchen light flickering like it was signaling something, and he just appeared? I swallowed hard and forced my voice to sound steady. Yeah, I'm fine." "Can I come in?" he asked through the wood. "Just to check everything's okay." My pulse jumped. No. God, no. But I didn't want to sound paranoid. New neighbor, new house, new life. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe the lock slipped. Maybe the power was faulty. Maybe everything was fine, and I was the broken one. I cracked the door, keeping the chain on. He leaned slightly to peek inside, his eyes flicking past me like he was looking for something or someone. "You sure you're okay?" he repeated. My back door was open. I admitted quietly. I thought I locked it. He frowned deeply, a little too dramatically. "That's not good. Want me to take a look?" "No," I said fast. I already checked." That was a lie. I hadn't checked anything. He nodded slowly, like he didn't believe me, but didn't want to push. "Well, I'm right next door if you need help. I'm up late most nights." Then he smiled. That same warm, friendly, too perfect smile. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned my forehead against the wood. My body trembled with leftover adrenaline. The house felt too quiet, too still, like it was holding its breath with me. Finally, I forced myself to check the back door. The handle was cold, colder than the rest of the house, like someone had been gripping it moments before I walked over. I shut it, locked it again, tested it twice. My reflection in the glass looked pale, haunted. "You're imagining things," I whispered to myself. But imagination doesn't leave footprints, and there were 2 faint ones just outside on the patio, half wiped but visible enough to make my blood run cold. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, I tried to shake it off. People live alone all the time. Houses make noises. Locks can be tricky. I would not turn into that woman who jumps at shadows. I made coffee, opened my curtains. My fingers went numb when I saw his name. Mark. He texted me. From an unknown number I never gave him. I stared at the screen so long my eyes burned. My heart hammered against my ribs like it wanted out. My first instinct was to reply, "No, I'm fine, stop texting me." But something held me back. Fear. But also curiosity. How long had he had my number? How did he get it? And why send that message right after I discovered my door had been tampered with? I didn't respond. Instead, I locked myself in my room and slid the dresser against the door. It felt ridiculous, dramatic, but my body moved on pure instinct. The air felt heavier than usual, like the house was warning me. For a long time, I just sat on the edge of my bed, gripping my phone, listening. For footsteps, for creaks, for anything. Nothing. After half an hour, I finally cracked my blinds open an inch. Mark's car was still in his driveway, and he was outside. Again. He walked slowly along the property line, hands in his pockets, looking at my house like he was studying it, memorizing it. Once, he paused near the corner where my back door led to the patio. My pulse skyrocketed. Was he checking whether I'd seen something last night? Was he seeing if the door was locked now? Every possibility twisted my stomach tighter. I stepped back from the window, breathing hard. I didn't want to be afraid of a neighbor. I didn't want to assume the worst, but the evidence was piling up in ways I couldn't rationalize anymore. The open door, the loosened lock, the perfectly timed appearances, and now my phone number. I sat there for a long time, trying to convince myself not to overreact, until a soft sound echoed from downstairs. A click. My heart stopped. Another click. A pause. Then the unmistakable metallic slide of something shifting inside a door frame. Someone was messing with the lock. I moved silently to my bedroom door and pressed my ear against it, lungs frozen. Another click. Not from the front, from the back door downstairs. Cold sweat slid down my back. My legs shook so hard the floorboards creaked beneath me. I clamped a hand over my mouth to keep from making a sound. Someone was trying to get in. Someone inside my backyard. Someone standing exactly where those faint footprints were last night. I backed away slowly, gripping my phone with trembling hands. Call the police. Just call. It's probably nothing. No, it's definitely something. Before I could dial, a loud knock slammed against my front door. I jumped so violently I bit down on my tongue. Then his voice. "Emma, I think I saw someone near your house. I came to check on you." Mark. My stomach caved in. Of course it was him. He was always there when something happened, every time. "Open up," he called. "I just want to make sure you're safe." I didn't move, didn't breathe. "Emma?" His tone shifted, lower, tighter. "Are you home?" Yes, I wanted to scream. No, I wanted to beg. Anything but letting you in. Suddenly, my phone buzzed again, a new text. "I'm still outside. Thought I heard something by your back door. Want me to look?" The blood in my veins turned to ice, because the text came at the exact same moment he knocked. He hadn't been near the back door. He was lying. He was trying to get inside. I stepped away from the bedroom door, holding my breath until my chest ached. Then the knocking stopped. Silence. I waited. 1 minute. 2. 5. Finally, I dared to peek through the curtain. Mark was no longer at my door. He was in my backyard, standing inches from the back door, staring at it like he was waiting for it to unlock itself. I don't remember crossing the room. I don't remember dropping to my knees below the window. All I remember is the crushing weight of realization settling in my chest. He wasn't checking on me. He was checking the door. His door. His entry point. My breath stuttered in my throat as I crawled backward, my fingers shaking against the hardwood floor. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding so violently it hurt. Through the thin crack of the curtain, I saw him. Mark. Hands in his pockets, head tilted slightly. Studying my back door with unnerving patience, like he had all the time in the world. He lifted his hand and touched the doorknob, slow and deliberate, running his thumb across it, like he was remembering how it felt in his palm last night. I clamped a hand over my mouth. Tears blurred my vision. I wanted to scream, to run, to call for help, but fear glued me to the floor. What did he want? Why me? Why my house? He looked up suddenly, and I ducked so fast my head smacked the wall. A tiny gasp escaped me, and I froze, terrified he'd heard it. Silence. 10 seconds. 20. 30. Very slowly, I raised my eyes to the window again. He was gone. Not in the yard, not near the fence, not on the patio. Gone. I stayed there for a solid 5 minutes, barely breathing, my whole body trembling. And then, tap. A light sound. Not from the back, from the side of the house. The narrow walkway between my home and his. I crawled across the living room, each movement silent and slow, until I reached the corner window that overlooked the side path. I lifted the edge of the curtain just an inch. What I saw nearly made my heart stop. Mark was pressed against my house wall, directly beneath the window, looking up, like he knew exactly where I would be peeking out. I jerked back so fast I fell onto my elbow. Pain shot up my arm, but fear numbed everything. Why was he moving around my house? Why wasn't he leaving? Why did he look like he was circling? My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look. I already knew who it was. But the dread pulled my eyes to the screen anyway. Mark. Are you okay? I'm getting worried. Your lights keep flickering. I can come in if you want. I covered my mouth with both hands to stifle a sob. He was pretending not to be here. He was pretending to be somewhere else entirely. He was pretending everything was normal. A twisted game. I typed out a message with shaking fingers. Please stop. Please leave me alone. I hit send. Seconds later, 3 dots appeared. Typing. Mark. Leave you alone? Why would you say that? I'm only trying to keep you safe, Emma. Safe. There was that word again. The same one he wrote in that welcome note. The same one he said every time something went wrong. The same one he used to pull himself deeper into my life. Something shifted inside me. Fear mixed with anger, hot and sharp. He wasn't my protector. He wasn't my friend. He was orchestrating everything, every flicker, every scare, every intrusion. I needed help, real help, before this escalated into something irreversible. I crawled to the kitchen where my phone charger was plugged in. My hands shook as I dialed 911, but before I could press the call button, the power cut out. My house went black. A thick, suffocating darkness swallowed the room whole. And through it, I heard the softest whisper of a sound, a gentle, careful twist of metal. My back door handle. Turning. The sound of the back door handle turning sliced through the darkness like a blade. I froze where I was on the kitchen floor, my phone still in my hand, glowing faintly in the pitch black. My breath caught mid-exhale and stayed trapped in my throat until my lungs burned. This wasn't a flickering light. This wasn't a loose screw. This wasn't my imagination. Someone, he, was at my door. I could hear each tiny click as the handle moved, slow and deliberate, like whoever was on the other side was testing how quietly they could enter. My vision blurred with panic. My fingers trembled so violently I almost dropped the phone. No electricity, no lights, no way out the back. And Mark somewhere in the dark, just outside my only exit. I forced myself to crawl backward, inch by inch, trying to keep my movements silent. The floor felt cold under my palms. Every tiny sound echoed too loudly in the suffocating quiet. Another click from the handle, then a soft scrape. Metal on metal, he was trying keys. I slapped a hand over my mouth to stop the scream clawing up my throat. How did he have a key? Did he make copies? Did he find mine? Had he been inside before? Every horrible possibility crashed into me at once. I backed into the wall under the kitchen counter, curling into the shadow. My heart pounded so hard I thought the sound alone would give me away. The handle twisted again, harder, then a pause. A long, terrifying stillness. I held my breath, and then something touched the glass. A tap, knuckle against window pane, slow, measured, intentional. Tap, tap, tap. My vision spun. My hands shook so hard I couldn't feel my fingers anymore. The tapping grew slightly louder until it wasn't tapping anymore, it was scraping. Like a nail or a key, dragging down the glass just to make a sound, just to let me know he was still there. My phone buzzed violently in my hand. I nearly dropped it from the shock. I pressed the screen close to my chest to hide the light. A new message from him. Mark, everything okay in there? Your power went out. I'm outside checking if your breaker's tripped. I wanted to scream. He was pretending. Even now, pretending he wasn't the one turning my door handle. Pretending he wasn't the one scraping the glass. The scraping suddenly stopped. Silence again, deep, heavy, wrong. I strained to hear anything, footsteps, breathing, the wind, anything. Instead, I heard something far worse. The sound of wood bending, a gentle pressure pushing against the back door, testing its strength. He was trying to force it. I swallowed a sob. I needed to move. I needed to hide somewhere with a lock, somewhere without a glass door. I pressed myself low and crawled out of the kitchen, keeping to the shadows. My muscles screamed with tension, my knees burned. But I kept moving. Halfway through the living room, I heard it, a soft click from the back door. He stopped forcing it. Which meant one thing. He was walking around the house, looking for another way in. I scrambled to my bedroom, pushing the door shut without slamming it. My hands shook violently as I shoved the dresser harder against it. I slid to the floor, chest heaving, my back pressed to the wall. Tears blurred my vision, my breath came in short, painful bursts. Another buzz from my phone. I didn't want to look, but I did. Mark, lights still out. Want me to come in and check your fuse box? I stared at the message, my heart thundering in my ears. He wasn't asking to help. He was asking for permission. Permission to enter the house he was already trying to break into. A shiver tore through me as a new sound drifted down the hallway, the faintest creak, from the side of the house, from the direction of my master bathroom window. The one I had left slightly open that morning. My stomach dropped. No, 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 no. The creak came again. And then a whisper of fabric brushing against the window screen. He wasn't at the back door anymore. He was climbing in. The soft rasp of fabric against the bathroom window screen snapped every nerve in my body into a silent scream. He found it. The one window I forgot to close. The one weakness in the entire house. My stomach twisted so violently I thought I might vomit. I pressed both hands against my mouth to keep any sound from escaping. My eyes stung with tears I didn't dare let fall. I heard the metal frame shift, then a gentle push. A tiny, almost polite creak. He was lifting the window, slowly, carefully, like he'd done it before. My entire body shook. I crawled across the carpet, so slowly, so quietly, toward the closet. I needed to hide. I needed to make myself small, invisible. But halfway there, the window gave a long, drawn-out groan. He was inside the bathroom. I froze. My lungs refused to move. The house felt like it shrank around me, every sound amplified, every silence heavier. I heard his shoes touch the bathroom tile, a soft thud, then another. He moved slowly, confidently, like someone who had walked the layout in his mind 100 times. My bedroom door was still blocked by the dresser. That bought me seconds, maybe. The moment he pushed it, he'd know someone was inside. Or worse, he already expected me to be. I slipped into the closet, heart hammering so painfully I thought the sound alone would expose me. I eased the door almost shut, leaving a thin sliver to see through. The house was silent. Too silent. Then, a shadow moved beneath the crack of my bedroom door. Not walking, pausing, listening. My vision blurred. My throat tightened. I clung to my phone so hard my fingers ached. Another buzz. Not a notification this time, a vibration from the floorboards. Footsteps, heavy, slow, measured. He was in my bedroom. He made no attempt to hide it now. Each step was deliberate, like he wanted me to hear them, like he wanted me to know he was here and I was trapped. His silhouette moved past the sliver of closet light. I stopped breathing. My pulse thrashed in my ears, drowning out everything else. Then he spoke, soft, gentle, almost disappointed. "Emma?" My entire body went cold. His voice was closer than I thought, too close. He took another step. My heart slammed into my ribs. "I know you're scared," he murmured, voice steady. "But you shouldn't be. I told you, I'll keep you safe." My stomach twisted. Safe. Always that word. His foot appeared in the gap under the closet door, just the tip of his shoe. He stood there, not moving, not calling out again, just waiting, listening. I pressed myself deeper into the corner of the closet, swallowing a sob. My whole body shook so violently the clothes on the hangers trembled. He reached for the closet door. I saw his fingers, calm, steady, slide across the wood, testing if it was locked, testing if I was behind it. I was seconds from panicking, seconds away from making a sound, when a noise suddenly echoed from the hallway. A loud clatter, something falling. He stiffened. Then he turned, fast, silent, and walked out of the room. I didn't breathe until his footsteps faded down the hall. My body felt weightless, like I was floating outside myself. Something fell in the hallway, something he didn't cause, which meant someone else, or... My mind finally caught up, and horror punched through me. The dresser I shoved in front of the door. It must have shifted under the pressure. He wasn't leaving. He was trying to get a better angle. I needed to move, now. As silently as I could, I slid the closet door open a crack. My legs trembled violently as I stepped out, my bare feet sinking into the carpet like quicksand. I needed the front door. It was my only chance, my only escape. But as I crept toward the hallway, heart pounding like a trapped animal, I heard it. A single, slow breath. From right outside my bedroom. He was waiting. That breath, slow, steady, patient, froze every muscle in my body. He was right outside my bedroom. Not moving, not talking, just breathing. Like he knew I'd try to escape. Like he was waiting for it. My pulse hammered so loudly I was sure he could hear it through the walls. I pressed my back against the cold plaster, barely daring to inhale. He exhaled again, longer this time. Almost thoughtful. Almost pleased. I clamped a hand over my mouth, chest burning from holding back a sob. I had two choices. Stay in the room and let him find me, or try to get past him and risk everything. Neither felt survivable. His footsteps shifted, slow and deliberate, moving just inches from the doorway. The small gap under the door glowed faintly from the weak daylight filtering in through the hall. I watched the shadows shift as his feet repositioned. He wasn't wandering. He wasn't confused. He was waiting. For me. A faint vibration buzzed in my hand, my phone. I almost dropped it from shock. I looked down, heart slamming into my ribs. A new message. Mark. Emma? Are you hiding from me? My throat closed. Another message arrived immediately. You don't need to, I promise. I bit down on my knuckle to stop the scream rising in my chest. He was texting me while standing outside my door. Suddenly, the doorknob turned, slowly. So slowly the metal barely clicked. I backed up instinctively, bumping into my dresser with a soft thud. Panic flushed through me. The knob twisted a little harder, testing the resistance. He knew the dresser was there. He'd felt it earlier when it shifted. He applied more pressure. The wood groaned. The doorframe creaked. Dust fell from the top of the hinges. My breaths came in short, broken gasps. Tears ran down my cheeks as I tightened my grip on my phone. Think, Emma, think. You can't freeze. Not now. My eyes darted around the room, searching for anything to help. My gaze landed on the window. The drop below wasn't high, but it wasn't exactly safe either. If I fell wrong, I'd break something. But staying here meant something far worse. The doorknob turned again, harder this time. A deep, strange sound filled the room. Emma, he said softly from the other side. Please don't make this difficult. My stomach twisted into knots. This wasn't about helping. This wasn't about safety. This was about control. He wanted me afraid. He wanted me trapped. He wanted me dependent. My breath shook as I backed toward the window, every step a fight against paralyzing fear. The dresser lurched suddenly, scraping the floor. He was pushing harder. A crack splintered through the doorframe. I didn't think. I couldn't. I rushed to the window, yanked it open, and cold air slapped my face. I looked down, grass, a small bush, nothing deadly. I could survive that. I swung one leg out just as the dresser slammed forward, pushed by him. Emma! He shouted, the softness gone, replaced by something sharp and furious. I didn't look back. I launched myself out the window. The air rushed past me in a blur, then the ground hit hard, knocking the wind from my lungs. Pain shot through my ankle, my side, my shoulder. I gasped, rolling into the grass. But I was out. Out of the house, out of his trap. I scrambled to my feet, ignoring the agony ripping through my body. I turned toward the front of the house, desperate to run, and froze. Mark stood at the side of the house. He wasn't surprised. He wasn't panicked. He was already there. As if he knew I'd jump. As if he was waiting for it. He smiled, slow, chilling, wrong. Why are you running from me? He asked quietly. I told you. I'm here to protect you. His smile froze me more effectively than the fall ever could. It wasn't a friendly smile. Not the neighborly grin he used when he carried my boxes. Not the warm one he offered whenever something went wrong. This one was triumphant. Like he'd finally reached the moment he'd been waiting for. I staggered backward, my ankle throbbing violently beneath my weight. A sharp pain shot up my leg and I nearly collapsed, catching myself against the grass. Mark took one slow step toward me. Easy, he murmured. You're hurt. I limped away from him, breath tearing out of me in ragged gasps. Stay away from me! He stopped, only for a moment, then tilted his head, studying me the way someone studies a frightened animal. I think you fell harder than you realize, he said gently. Come inside, let me help you. Inside, back into the house he'd broken into, back into the trap he'd spent weeks constructing. No, I whispered, backing up toward the front yard. No, Mark, stay back. His expression flickered, hurt, offended, like I was the one being unreasonable. I've been nothing but good to you, he said quietly. I fix things, I watch over you, I keep you safe. Why are you acting like I'm the danger? Because you are, because you've always been. I just didn't see it. He took another step. I stumbled farther. My ankle buckled and I cried out, grabbing the edge of the porch railing to keep from falling. The pain was blinding, hot and electric. Mark's eyes darkened. "You're going to hurt yourself worse," he said, voice lowering. "Just stop moving. Let me come closer." "No!" I shouted, louder than I meant to. "Don't come near me!" His face hardened. The facade cracked. What peeked through was cold, calculated, a stranger. "I didn't want to do this in the open," he muttered, stepping out of the shadow and fully into the daylight. "But you're not giving me many options." Terror slammed into me. I pushed off the railing and limped toward the road, my breath sharp and uneven. "Run, run, just run." Behind me, I heard his footsteps, slow at first, then faster as he realized I was actually getting away. "Emma!" he yelled. "Stop! You're going to get hit." Hit? There were no cars, just empty street. It was a threat disguised as concern. Everything with him was. I reached the sidewalk and forced myself forward despite the agony in my ankle. My vision blurred. Tears streaked hot down my face. "Emma, come back!" he shouted. I didn't look back. I turned the corner of the street, half running, half limping, and nearly collapsed again. Every step was a knife twisting inside my leg. I needed help. I needed someone, anyone. A woman across the street was gardening, but I couldn't even call out. My voice cracked in my throat as I tried to yell. Before I could get a sound out, a hand grabbed my elbow. I screamed. The woman jerked back, startled. "Oh my God, are you okay?" I couldn't speak. I could only point behind me, trembling violently. "Please, help!" I gasped. "My neighbor, he's—" But the words died on my tongue. Because when I turned, Mark wasn't running after me. He wasn't on the sidewalk. He wasn't anywhere. He had vanished. The woman steadied me, eyes wide. "Honey, are you being chased? What happened?" I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. A shadow moved at the corner of my vision. I whipped my head toward my house. Mark stood in my yard again, still, calm, watching me, like I was the one who wandered off, like he was waiting for me to come back home. He lifted his hand and waved, cheerfully, perfectly friendly, like nothing had happened. To the woman helping me, he looked like a concerned neighbor. To me, he looked like a hunter who had marked his prey. I clung to her arm, shaking so hard I could barely stand. "Please," I whispered, "call the police." Mark's smile faded, just a little. And I knew he heard me. The woman guided me toward her porch, one arm firm around my waist as my ankle throbbed with every step. I kept my eyes locked on Mark across the street. He didn't move, didn't shout, didn't deny a thing. He just watched. She sat me down gently and grabbed her phone. "Tell me what happened." I swallowed hard. My voice shook. "My neighbor, he broke into my house." Her face paled. She didn't ask for details, just dialed 911. I heard her speak quickly, urgently, but the world blurred around me. My heart pounded so loudly everything else felt muffled. I kept checking for Mark. He hadn't left. He just shifted slightly, leaning on my fence post as if this was a typical afternoon and I was overreacting. When he noticed me staring, he gave a soft, disappointed shake of his head, like I was the one causing trouble. The woman whispered, "He's just standing there." Just standing, waiting, like a faithful dog confused by its owner's panic. A patrol car turned into the street in under 5 minutes, lights flashing. The moment it appeared, Mark stepped back. Just one step, but enough to signal he knew the rules, enough to make himself look harmless. The officers approached him first. He smiled, spoke calmly, pointed to my house, pointed to me, nodded politely. One of the officers even laughed at something he said. That laughter sliced through me like a blade. Then they came to me. "Ma'am," one said, "your neighbor says you fell from your window and he was trying to help you." I stared at him, disbelief choking me. "He climbed into my house. He unlocked my back door. He broke in." The officer exchanged a look with his partner. "Did you see him inside?" I heard him, I said, voice trembling. I saw him in my yard. He had my number. He loosened my lock. Mark called over gently. She's been really stressed since moving in. I've been trying to keep an eye on her. She's hurt. Maybe she's confused. Confused. The word felt like fire. The officers turned back to me. I could see uncertainty in their faces. No broken windows, no forced entry, no visible damage, just a terrified woman and a neighbor who looked calm, stable, helpful. I realized then, he planned this. He engineered it so I looked unstable and he looked like the savior. The officer knelt beside me. Ma'am, you're injured. Let's get you checked out at a hospital, okay? No, I whispered. I'm not crazy. He was inside. Mark took a step closer. The officer lifted a hand. Sir, stay back. He raised both palms, acting cooperative. Of course. I just want her safe. Safe. Always that word. The female officer suddenly asked, Do you have anywhere else you can stay for the night? The question rattled me, because she didn't believe me, not fully, but she felt something was wrong, enough to worry. I nodded shakily. My sister, she's an hour away. Good, she said. Let's get you there. As they helped me into the patrol car, I looked back one last time. Mark stood in my driveway, hands in his pockets, head tilted, watching me leave, and he smiled, slow, knowing, confident, not because I escaped, but because he wasn't finished. The officers drove me to my sister's house. I kept glancing out the rear window, terrified I'd see Mark's car behind us. Every shadow on the road looked like him. Every headlight made my pulse spike. But no one followed, not yet. My sister Lauren opened the door before we even reached the porch. One look at my limp, my swollen ankle, the fear in my eyes, and she pulled me into a tight, shaking hug. What happened? She whispered. I couldn't explain, not fully. I gave her the short version. My neighbor, he's been watching me. He broke into my house. She stiffened. We're calling a police. They already came, I said bitterly. They didn't believe me. That changed her expression. She squeezed me harder, jaw clenching in anger. You're staying with me. End of discussion. For a few hours, I felt almost safe. Lauren made tea, set me up on the couch with blankets, checked the locks twice. I tried to relax, but my body wouldn't let me. Every sound made me flinch. Every passing car made me tense. She sat beside me, brushing hair from my face. You're safe here, she said softly. The same words Mark used. I shivered. Later, when Lauren went to shower, her phone buzzed on the table. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. Is Emma doing better? I'm really worried about her. I felt the air leave my lungs. I picked up the phone with trembling fingers. Another text. Tell her I'm sorry she got scared. I just need to explain. Before I could even breathe, a third message arrived. I know she's embarrassed. I get it. My blood ran cold. He knew where I was. He had my sister's number. He had her address. My heart slammed into my ribs. My mind raced. He must have followed the patrol car from a distance. He must have watched where they dropped me off. He waited, observed, gathered information. Lauren came out of the bathroom, towel in her hair. Everything okay? I showed her the phone, her face drained of color. How did he get my number? I don't know, I whispered. I don't know how he gets anything. She locked the door immediately, pulling the chain across it. Her hands shook. Okay, she said, voice tight. We call the police. Again. I nodded, but a sick dread churned in my stomach, because even as she grabbed her phone, headlights swept across the living room window. I turned slowly, terrified of what I'd see. A car rolled to a stop across the street. Black, ordinary looking, lights off. Someone sat inside. I couldn't see the face, just the silhouette, watching the house, watching me. Lauren moved to the window, anger burning through her fear. Who is that? Do you think? Yes, I whispered before she finished. It's him. The silhouette shifted, leaned forward, rested an arm on the steering wheel like he had all night to wait. My phone buzzed in my hand, a new message from him. I'm not leaving until we talk. Lauren grabbed the phone out of my hand in disbelief. He followed you here? To my house? What does he want? I stared out the window, my entire body trembling. What he wanted was obvious. He wanted me dependent, trapped, grateful to him. He wanted control. And now he wanted access to the one place I thought I could run to. Another text came through. Please don't make this harder. Just come outside. My throat closed, because this wasn't confusion. This wasn't obsession anymore. This was escalation. This was ownership, and he wasn't planning to leave. Lauren locked every door and window, her movements sharp with panic. I sat frozen on the couch, staring at the dark silhouette parked across the street. He didn't move, didn't step out, just waited. My phone buzzed again. Mark. I'm being patient. Please don't make me wait all night. A cold wave rolled through me. Lauren grabbed her keys. We're going to the police station, right now. But when she reached for me, headlights flared outside, bright, sudden, blinding. I flinched. The car engine growled low, like a warning. He's blocking the driveway, Lauren whispered. I limped to the window and peeked out. Mark had pulled forward, positioning his car directly across her driveway entrance, close enough that we couldn't back out without hitting him. His posture in the driver's seat was casual, relaxed, like he was doing nothing wrong. Lauren cursed under her breath. He has no right to do this. He doesn't care about rights, I whispered. He cares about control. She snatched her phone. I'm calling 911. This is harassment. But as she started dialing, the car door opened. Mark stepped out slowly, calmly, like he were arriving for a friendly visit. His eyes scanned the house until they locked onto mine behind the curtain. He smiled, then raised his hands in a casual, harmless gesture, as if I was the one overreacting. Lauren yanked me away from the window. Don't let him see you. But he already had. His footsteps approached the porch, measured, patient, completely unbothered by the fact he was stalking someone. A soft knock followed, not pounding, not threatening. Just polite. Tap, tap. Emma, he called gently. I know you're scared. I shouldn't have come through the window. I didn't mean to frighten you. Lauren stiffened. He what? I grabbed her arm. Don't answer. Don't say a word. Another knock, slightly firmer. I just want to talk, that's all. Lauren held her phone up. The police are on their way. He chuckled softly. I know they're not. I watched them leave your street. My heart dropped. He knew their patterns. He'd waited. He planned this. Lauren whispered, He's dangerous. A shadow passed across the small window beside the door. He was standing inches away now. Then his voice softened even more, too soft, too intimate. Emma, I need you to understand something. Silence. I held my breath. You can't just disappear on me. A chill crawled up my spine. You can't run every time we misunderstand each other, he continued. I've invested a lot of time making sure you're safe. Invested. The word told me everything. To him, I wasn't a neighbor, I was a project. A possession he'd worked on, built up, isolated, protected from problems he created. And now he expected loyalty in return. Lauren whispered, He's unhinged. The doorknob jiggled suddenly, violently. We both jumped. Mark, Lauren yelled. Stop it, I've already called the police. He paused, then laughed, a small, amused breath. I just want Emma to open the door. She knows I'd never hurt her. The doorknob twisted again, hard, then again. My mind raced. We couldn't stay here. We couldn't outrun him, we couldn't fight him. But we weren't alone. Lauren grabbed my arm and pointed toward the back hallway. The neighbor behind us, she's home. She has a fenced yard. We can cut through and hide until cops arrive. We moved quietly, quickly. My ankle screamed, my heart pounded. Behind us, Mark kept trying the door, persistent, calm, confident. "Don't do this," he called. "Just let me in. We're supposed to talk." We slipped out the back door into the cold night air and hurried toward the neighbor's yard. But as we reached the fence, a figure stepped out of the shadows, Mark. Already there, already waiting. His smile widened. "I told you," he whispered. "You can't run from me." He stepped out from behind the neighbor's shed like he'd materialized from the dark itself. Lauren's breath hitched. Mine stopped. He wasn't panting from running. He wasn't frantic. He looked calm, almost pleased, like he'd predicted every move we'd make. "Emma," he said softly, "why do you keep making this harder?" Lauren moved in front of me, shielding me with her body. "You need to leave, right now." Mark's eyes lifted to her, and a flicker of irritation passed through his face, brief but sharp. "This doesn't involve you," he said. "I've been taking care of her long before you got involved." My skin crawled. Lauren didn't budge. "Take one more step and I swear to God." He raised his hands lazily. "I'm not here to hurt anyone." Then he took that step. Lauren grabbed a garden rake leaning against the fence and swung it out in front of us. Her voice broke with fury. "Stay back!" For the first time, Mark stopped. His jaw tightened. His smile dropped. But he still sounded calm, patient, like a parent dealing with stubborn children. "You're making her afraid of me," he said. "You don't understand how much she needs me." "I don't need you!" I yelled, voice cracking. "I never did!" The silence that followed was suffocating. Mark blinked, slowly. His expression shifted, not angry, but wounded, like I had just betrayed him in some intimate way. "You don't mean that," he murmured. "I did. Every word." Lauren nudged me toward the fence gate. "Go, now!" We inched backward, keeping our eyes on him. For a moment, it seemed like he might let us go. Then his face hardened. "You can't leave," he whispered. He lunged. Lauren shoved me aside. I stumbled, falling onto the grass as she swung the rake with everything she had. The metal end cracked against his shoulder. Mark hissed in pain, but it didn't stop him. He grabbed the rake, yanked it out of her hands, and shoved her backward. "Lauren!" I screamed. She crashed into the fence, breath knocked out of her. Mark stepped toward me next. I scrambled backward across the ground, my injured ankle screaming. The world spun. The night felt too quiet, too still, as if everything held its breath with me. He crouched down just a few feet away, eyes locked onto me. "I'm not doing this to scare you," he said, voice gentle again. "I'm doing this because you won't listen." Tears streamed down my face. "Please, just stop." He reached out a hand. "Come home with me. We'll talk. No more running." I shook my head violently. "Never!" For the first time, his mask cracked completely. His eyes darkened, flat, cold, distant. "You're confusing kindness with danger," he said quietly. "You're making a mistake." Behind him, Lauren got to her knees, trembling but determined. Her eyes met mine, quick and desperate. Then she grabbed the heavy ceramic flower pot beside her and hurled it at Mark's head. It shattered against him. He fell sideways with a choked groan, stunned. "Run!" Lauren screamed. I pushed myself up, fighting the agony in my ankle. We sprinted toward the neighbor's back door, Lauren dragging me when my leg buckled. She pounded on the door, shouting for help. Lights flicked on. The door flew open. The neighbor pulled us inside and locked it behind us. "Call the police," Lauren gasped. "He's dangerous. He's here." Before the neighbor could even respond, a shadow moved outside the window. Mark, staggering, wiping blood from his temple, and looking straight at me. His lips curled into a slow, furious smile. "You can run," he mouthed. "Not forever." The neighbor, Mrs. Dalton, locked every bolt on her back door while Lauren dragged me farther inside. My ankle throbbed, hot and sharp, but fear drowned out everything else. Mrs. Dalton's voice shook. "Who is that man?" "My neighbor," I whispered. "He followed me here." Lauren grabbed her phone and dialed 911 again, her voice tight with urgency. "He's outside, bleeding, trying to break in. Send units now!" The operator promised officers were on the way, but on the way felt like another lifetime. We moved to the living room where the lights were bright, too bright. I felt exposed, like he could see straight through the walls. I kept glancing at the windows, half expecting Mark's face to appear in the glass. "Sit," Mrs. Dalton urged, guiding me to the couch. "You're hurt." I sat, but my body wouldn't stop shaking. My hands, my legs, my breath, everything trembled. Through the thin curtains, a shadow moved. Lauren stiffened. "He's still out there." We crept to the window and peeked out. Mark stood in the middle of the yard, shoulders heaving, blood dripping from his temple. He wasn't trying to hide anymore. He stared at the house with a furious calm, like the lull before a storm. Then his eyes lifted, found us instantly, locked onto mine. I backed away so fast I hit the wall. Another buzz from my phone. "Mark, I'm not leaving you with strangers." Then another. "You're scared because you're hurt. You need me." I dropped the phone like it burned me. Mrs. Dalton grabbed a heavy lamp from the table. "If he tries to get in, we defend ourselves." But Mark didn't come to the window. He went to the side gate. The latch clicked. My heart seemed to stop. "He's trying to get into the yard," Lauren hissed. Mrs. Dalton grabbed her phone again. "Where are the police?" We rushed to the kitchen window just in time to see Mark shove the gate open. He limped inside, breath ragged, but his eyes were alive with something cold and focused. He scanned the house like he already had the blueprint memorized. "Get away from the windows," Lauren whispered sharply. We ducked low, backing into the hallway. A second later, something hit the kitchen window. A hard thud. Once, twice. Then a crack spread across the glass. "He's breaking in!" I cried. Mrs. Dalton ran to her bedroom and returned with a baseball bat. Lauren grabbed the heaviest thing she could find, a cast iron pan. I had nothing but fear and a broken ankle. Another smash. The window cracked deeper. "He's going to get through," Lauren whispered. "We need another room, somewhere without windows." "The bathroom," Mrs. Dalton said quickly. "Go!" We hobbled down the hallway together. I barely made it inside before a loud crash exploded from the kitchen, glass shattering all over the floor. He was in the house. Mrs. Dalton slammed the bathroom door shut and locked it. We all pressed against it, 3 bodies, 1 thin door. Footsteps entered the hallway, slow, dragging, deliberate. He was hurt, but he was still coming. Lauren held the pan tight. Mrs. Dalton raised the bat. I covered my mouth, choking on the sob building in my chest. Mark's voice drifted down the hall, calm, hoarse, terrifyingly steady. "Emma, why are you hiding from me?" A shadow darkened the bottom of the door. His hand tested the handle. Then he sighed softly. "Open the door," he murmured. "You're making this worse." The handle twisted hard. Mrs. Dalton braced herself. "Over my dead body." Mark chuckled quietly, the sound low and unhinged. Then he leaned close, so close his whisper seeped through the crack at the bottom. "That can be arranged." I felt the blood drain from my face. He stepped back. Then, thud. His shoulder slammed the door. The thin wood bent inward. Lauren gasped, tightening her grip on the pan. Another slam. The frame splintered. The lock cracked. He hit the door a third time, and it nearly gave way. We were seconds from him breaking through, seconds from being face to face. seconds from something irreversible. When sirens finally pierced the distance, Mark froze. The bathroom fell silent. The next sound we heard was him running. The moment the sirens wailed closer, everything shifted. The pounding on the door stopped. Mark's shadow vanished. His footsteps thudded down the hallway, fast, uneven, desperate. Mrs. Dalton cracked the bathroom door, bat raised. "Stay behind me." I clung to Lauren as we crept out. The house was a mess, glass shattered across the kitchen tiles, footprints smeared in blood, curtains ripped from where he'd yanked them aside. He was gone. The back door hung wide open, swinging in the cold night air. Police flooded the yard seconds later, flashlights everywhere, voices shouting, boots pounding against the dirt. 2 officers rushed in. "Is anyone hurt? Is he inside?" "He ran," Mrs. Dalton said breathlessly. "He broke the window. He tried to get in here. He attacked us." I pointed toward the back door, my hands shaking uncontrollably. "He went that way." The officers sprinted outside. More cars arrived, lights flashing red and blue across the walls. A helicopter rumbled overhead. Dogs barked as they were unloaded from K9 units. For the first time that night, I felt air fill my lungs. Lauren wrapped her arms around me. "It's over," she whispered. "They'll catch him." I wanted to believe her. I needed to. But deep inside, fear stayed rooted, tight and unmoving. An officer approached us. "We're setting up a perimeter. We'll find him. Do you need medical attention?" I nodded weakly, ankle throbbing now that adrenaline had drained away. They guided me outside onto the porch. Paramedics checked my ankle, my pulse, cleaned the cuts on my arms. I tried to answer their questions, but my voice kept shaking, breaking. I looked around. Red and blue lights lit the entire street. Neighbors stood on their porches, whispering. The night air buzzed with radios and shouted directions. But Mark was nowhere. The K9 unit circled the yard, barking urgently. One of the officers shouted, "Trail is heading east, move." More running, more flashlights disappearing into the darkness. Lauren squeezed my hand. "They'll catch him." But I couldn't shake the memory of his face, calm, devoted, furious. A man who didn't think he was doing something wrong. A man who believed I belonged to him. A man who wouldn't stop. Another officer approached. "Ma'am, we found something you should see." My breath hitched. What is it?" He hesitated. "It was in the bushes outside your sister's fence." He handed me a small, black notebook. My stomach dropped. I recognized it instantly. It was Mark's. Hands trembling, I opened the cover. My breath caught in my throat. Inside were pages filled with notes, dates, times, sketches of my house's floor plan, times I left for errands, times I returned, where my windows were, which lights flickered. And worse, drawings of me. Sleeping, cooking, standing in my backyard. All from angles inside my home. I felt sick. I snapped the book shut, unable to breathe. Lauren grabbed it, eyes widening with horror. "Oh my God, Emma." A paramedic steadied me as my knees buckled. The officer spoke quietly. "This is enough for a full warrant, enough for charges, enough to put him away." Enough, the word echoed in my skull. The night was still pulsing with police activity, but inside me something was finally settling. He wasn't a misunderstanding, he wasn't confused. He wasn't trying to help me. He had been planning this, watching me, studying me. Building a fantasy where I needed him, where he was my rescuer, my stability, my world. And when I didn't comply, he hunted me. A shout echoed across the street. "We've got a trail, tracks heading toward the woods." The officers ran toward the flashing lights. I clutched the notebook to my chest, shaking, tears burning down my cheeks. "He's close," I whispered. Lauren held me tighter, but not for long, she said. For the first time tonight, hope didn't feel like a lie. The night bled into early morning as police searched the woods. I sat wrapped in a blanket on Mrs. Dalton's porch, ankle throbbing, throat raw, clinging to the only thing Mark left behind, his notebook. It still felt warm in my hands, like he'd been holding it moments before dropping it. Lauren sat beside me, refusing to leave my side. "They'll find him," she whispered for the 100th time. But my eyes stayed fixed on the tree line, half expecting his shadow to appear between the branches. Just as the sky began to lighten, an officer jogged up the driveway. "We got him." My whole body sagged. "Where?" "About a mile into the woods," he said. "Hiding." He didn't resist. Hiding, waiting, watching. A chill swept through me. Another officer approached and crouched to my level. "We found more on him. Keys, tools, a USB drive, and photos. Of you." The world tilted slightly, but I forced myself to breathe. "He's in custody now," the officer continued gently. "You're safe." Safe. The word felt different now, real, not corrupted. They drove me and Lauren to the station to give statements. It was a blur, questions, forms, reassurances. Every time I said his name, my voice trembled. When they asked if I wanted a restraining order, I whispered, "Yes." When they asked if I wanted emergency protection, I said, "Please." When they said he wouldn't be released anytime soon, I closed my eyes and let myself breathe for the first time in days. Hours later, as the sun rose fully, Lauren drove me back to her house. The street looked normal again, quiet, peaceful. It felt wrong, like the world shouldn't be calm after what happened. Inside, I finally collapsed onto her couch. Exhaustion hit me like a wave. Lauren sat beside me. "You're safe now," she murmured. This time, I believed her. But as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, something inside me cracked open. Not fear, not panic. Grief. Grief for the version of me who thought moving to Redwood Lane meant starting fresh. Grief for the nights I slept while a stranger watched. Grief for the trust I gave to the wrong person. I wiped my eyes. How did he get so close without me noticing? Lauren squeezed my hand. "Because he pretended to be everything you needed." Those words dug deep. I remembered the day he helped with my boxes, the welcome basket, the flickering lights, the open door, the messages, the accidents. The perfect timing every single time. He didn't fall into my life, he built a path into it. Piece by piece, problem by problem, solution by solution. And I walked right into it. Later that afternoon, an officer called to update me. Mark was being transferred to a county facility. More charges were being added: breaking and entering, harassment, stalking, attempted assault. He wouldn't be out anytime soon. When the call ended, I stared at the quiet living room. Sunlight streamed across the floor, warm and soft. For the first time in weeks, the silence didn't scare me. I let out a long, shaky exhale. It was over, really over. That night, as I lay on Lauren's guest bed, I whispered a single promise to myself. I will never ignore my instincts again. I will never let someone walk into my life so quietly. I will never confuse attention with safety. And I will never forget the man who taught me how dangerous kindness can look. When morning light filled the room, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Freedom. And the certainty that I had survived something I was never meant to face alone. The nightmare ended. But I didn't.